Hello! Oh my God, we're live already. You know, I've just remembered, as I press live, I forgot to tell people that we're going live, but this is good for the after show because then I can share it. So, hello, welcome to the talk, everyone. We are back with the I Am Sound Talk Quiz, and I'm going live on my channel, I'm going live on the I Am Sound channel, and I am back with the fabulous Ben Rolfe. How are you today, Ben?
Lovely. Thank you, Nat. Lovely to be here. Well, lovely to be anywhere, but particularly lovely to be here with you in your penthouse. It's very, very good.
Yes, I am for work. I am in London, staying in a penthouse. So if anybody is in London and they would like to see me 6 feet apart, let me know. And I'll see if I can set the guidelines and come and say hi. But this evening we have a talk, and I've been wanting to do this for almost 6 weeks now. I think the first show. Each other for 6 weeks. Amazing. Amazing. So for those of you who are out there who have no idea what Ben does, Ben is the dream guy. So basically that's quite a big statement, but you'll see by the end of this on why he's the dream guy and why I wanted him on the show and what I want to talk about with him. So Ben, can you please explain Yoga Nidra and also dream yoga in a lovely way that you do? Take us on a journey.
Okay, well, let me talk about dream yoga because that's my thing. So dream yoga is a practice that has or can have a spiritual aspect. So it can have a spiritual aspect that dates to something called the 6 great yogas of Naropa. And these are the 6 great dharmas or yogas from 10th century Tibet. And these were the yogas that you needed for this life and the next, should there be one. They didn't have any doubt that there was one, and many Buddhists these days don't doubt that either. In fact, it's quite funny. I'm not a Buddhist. I just wish to put that out. I'm not representing any lineage or anything. I'm not an ist. I don't have an ism. I don't have an ish. It's like I'm just not representing anybody or anything. I don't think the universe owes me an explanation, so I don't actually have any answers particularly, but I have some observations and I have some experience. That's all. So it's funny because the Dalai Lama is so science informed that he famously said out loud that if any Buddhist views don't go with science, that the Buddhist views would go. And then somebody said, "But what about reincarnation?" And he goes, "Oh well, that just is. That's staying because that just is." Right. So if reincarnation is a thing, this is exactly what you need to know, because the night is an exact microcosm of what death is like and the stages that you're going to meet. So in that sense, the little sleep is the little death. And the idea is that if there's anything in this from a spiritual point of view, and bear in mind the Tibetans have been studying this for 17,000 years continually, just a little bit, which compares to our 30 years and our superiority, of course. Our zanes, that we're right, even though we have no idea how come we sleep. We can't explain it, and we don't know how we dream or what's going on. We still believe that there's clearly nothing in their 17,000 years of continual study. But what they say is that the most important thought you'll ever have is your last one. And that is when you need to be most aware, most conscious, which would make sense if there's anything coming. So that would be the time when you would have a say in your next lifetime, or in Buddhahood, or in Enlightenment, or all of this. This would be the business end, literally, of being alive. And if there is anything in that, we all us humans, owe thanks to the person who did that for us. Our previous self would have done that for us. So if there's anything in this, it's almost a duty. Now, so that's from a spiritual point of view. If you'd like to go along with that, take, it means there's nothing more important than this life. In fact, this life is about that moment and developing the skills to be able to see through mind-made fear at that point, to know that your mind is playing tricks on you, and to be able to navigate your way through the bardos that are awaiting you. Now, it's not only Buddhism that has that. There's last rites in Catholicism, where the priest guides you through to the next side. I've done it myself with my mother-in-law. There's a lot of traditions where that last bit, where your hearing is the last sense to go, is the most important point of life itself. In fact, there's a lama called Sura Lam Das, Lama Sura Das, rather, LSD, he abbreviates as. A bit trippy. He says that, in fact, the Tibetan Book of the Dead is better translated as liberation through hearing, because hearing is the last sense to go, which is how come what you say in the last moments, and in fact in the moments after death, are so crucial, because the hearing is still going on for maybe as much as an hour or more after death. So this is kind of important, what's happening. If that's true, if there's anything in this, there's clearly, I think I might have made the case that this is an important thing to get skills for, because there's certain skills you need to get, 4 skills you really need for that moment. If there isn't anything in this, it's still important, because that last moment, from a neuroscience point of view, one of the first thing that dies is your sense of time. So that last thought, that last moment could feel like minutes, days, weeks, or years, and you wouldn't wish to get stuck in a hell of a mind, with a mind playing nightmarish tricks on you of all kinds of hells for that length of time. You wouldn't wish it on someone. Now, if that sounds controversial, all you have to think about is somebody drowning or choking who has their life flash before their eyes, right? And they really do. It happened to my wife. Her life flashed before her eyes, because she can tell me all that stuff, loads of random stuff, and it happened in seconds. So time gets weird at the end. I don't think that's such a controversial view. So what we look, sorry, Nat, go on.
No, I was just going to say, so it's like, our entire life is a preparation for our last moments.
Last thought.
And for our last thought. And that's kind of a lot of pressure. But at the same time, it kind of does make sense. It's, moving through, the more we relax, the more we calm down, the more we are able to control the mind, the more that we're able to come be in presence, the more likelihood it is that at that point when we cross over, we'll be in a calmer state. We'll obviously wish that on our next life. And that is obviously, that makes the journey a little bit more, now it makes more sense. So there's even more knowledge to be in presence. It's just so my next life, if there is one.
Yeah, it's an investment, Nat. You know about that. It's an investment. It's like and there's this other thing, is that once you're not scared of death, you can start to live.
Yeah.
Because you've beaten the fear of all fears. The fear of all women and men and people can be boiled down really to the fear of death and dying. If you don't have that, you are free, which is a lovely place to be. And particularly because it's not as difficult as one would imagine to get hold of this dream stuff and this sleep stuff and this afterlife stuff. It's actually it's delightful, and it's hilarious, and it's brilliant, and it makes 8 hours of the night the best 8 hours of the 24 hours in the day. And when you do it, you kind of, it's not that you pity the fool that doesn't, but you get that kind of thing of going, if they knew what they've turned their back on, what they've slept through all their life instead of what they could have been doing, it would have been at least a kindness to offer them and show them, because for some reason it's been edited out, and in fact it's the bit that people would like to edit even further.
Which is bizarre, because the more quality sleep that I have, the more rested I feel. The more I dream every night. Like it's a thing. I come downstairs in the morning and my mum and dad are like, "What happened last night?" And there's all kinds of different things, and I do love it. And I get, some of them are quite kind of psychic-y things happen in the future. Some of them are just explanations of what's gone on in my life, and some of them are absolutely batshit crazy that I feel like, oh my god, that's LSD. It's like, but there's a whole part of understanding a different part of myself that comes from my sleep, that comes from my dreams, and it's really useful in my day-to-day life to be able to get that different perspective on it that's totally unique to me. And there's abbreviations of it. I could talk to 10 different sleep coaches and they'd all tell me something slightly different. But you call it the dreamer. So let's go into this. You said to me a few weeks ago, you wasn't actually saying it to me, you were just blasé. You're like, you can speak to your dreamer. And I'm like, who is my dreamer? Of course I have a dreamer. Let's go in. So I was like, right, I'm going to ask my dreamer a question. And I was very specific.
Good.
Very, very specific, because you said you had to be. So I was like, right, I'm going to get on the details here. So I said, and I'm happy to share this, because if there's other people, this is slightly awkward, but I'm just going to, this is so I said, please tell me what I'm doing that is in the way of me meeting my life partner. And if you're not too busy, can you show me who he is?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's pretty much out there, right? I'm like, thank you. I shall see you in the morning and you shall give me the answer that I'm looking for. So that night I went to sleep and I woke up in early hours in the morning, and I remembered it vividly. It wasn't one of these you just like vaguely forget. But appeared this guy in my dream who I used to date.
Oh.
So I'm like, Tam, is my life partner already here? So and in my dream, I was at my old school, and he basically walked past me. And in real life, he wasn't really talking to me. He's been ignoring me for 2 years, and I wasn't really sure why. So in my dream, I'm like walking past with my head down, thinking, oh, he's just going to ignore me. And then my mum was in my dream. Said, no, talk to him. So I spun around. I was like, hi. And he was there with a dog, himself, all dressed smart. And he was buying a property on my old school land. And then I said, hi. And he said, oh, I want to talk to you. And then I woke up. So then I'm like, what does that mean? So I thought, I'm going to reach out. So I haven't for a long time, but I thought I'm going to reach out, even though it's been a while. So I reached out and said, hey, I haven't spoken to you for ages. Are you okay? And reached out. And then I haven't told him the full dream, but if he watches this, this is definitely going to be more awkward than I thought. But I was we ended up solving something that apparently when he came to see me in Ibiza, and he came to stay with me, I was a real bitch to him apparently, and I didn't know anything about this. And this is why he'd not spoke to me for 2 years. So we solved this communication issue that had been quite a thing for me. Because of the dream. So what would you make of that situation? Was it there just to solve something for me to move on to my next? Is it him? What does that mean? But my dreamer bought it, and I was surprised at the Amazon Prime delivery of a dream that I had.
And it does. It really does. It's like it's so fast. So what's the question now?
The question is, what do you make of that? Like, what is there a story attached to that? Am I adding a story? Is it a symbol when somebody comes to meet me?
All right. Well, the thing is, you did the right thing. This is the important thing, is you did something that next to nobody does. So congratulations. Now, instinctively, you deployed advanced dream skills for your first go, which gave you it was like, oh, here's some dice. Let's throw the dice. Oh, 6 double sixes. It's like you didn't make the slow start that many do. You went to, I would say, dream level 6 as an introduction. Well done. Congratulations. Let me now give you some skills and talents and explanation to wrap around what you have as a natural gift. Okay. Is that all right?
Yeah, I'm down for this. I've been waiting 2.5 weeks for this. Anyway, so yes.
Okay. So let me go with how I would do it if you hadn't taken any action. Because you did the right thing. You took action. That's what the dream was asking you to do, and you did. So there's a little dream code that we use. Is swearing all right or not?
Well, I always do.
Yeah, I know you always do, but
we're not on off cam, but off cam.
okay. So we've got this little thing, an abbreviation of TFIAO, which is thank F it all over. TFIAO. So thank F it's all over. And that's how we remember it. But really what it's saying is on waking, what was she thinking? What was she feeling? What is the insight? Any action? And what's the observation? Now, if you don't mind, the observation is a big deal. So if I can keep this accessible, I wouldn't mind just putting that just over here for a minute, because it gets into 6 dimensions of consciousness and which level of hell or earth or heaven you're at. It's like, it's a bit much. Okay. So let's just do the bits that aren't a bit much. So we ask, on waking, what are we interested in? We're interested in the punchline. The last thing that happened before the dream wakes you up. Now, if you assume that it's the dream waking you up rather than, and then I woke up, then there's a whole different level of significance to what's just happened. Because you didn't do it. You were woken up to a yellow highlighter pen going, this bit, wake up now, Nat, not later. Yeah, this is what you need to do. Yeah. Very different. It's very different. But if people go, and then I woke up, it's like as if they had the agency all along and they didn't have a dreamer, they were doing it. If the dreamer is a letter from yourself to yourself, about yourself, for yourself, and every dream solves a problem, if only you knew that was happening, then it's a bit of an arrogance to turn your back on that and go, yeah, and then I woke up and I don't know what it means. You didn't do that. You were exemplary in what you did. And this is how come you're going to get rewarded so beautifully in the wakes, in the reels by this. Yeah. So we ask these questions. What is she thinking? What is she feeling? We don't really care. Actually, we don't care. We don't care about that because that's just to dignify the head and the body. Or what's she thinking? Oh, I don't. Oh, I just thought. Oh, is it my twin flame? Or what's she feeling? Oh, I this sense of incompleteness or emotional something. What's the insight? Once we've dignified head and body, we can get beyond that to the message, the punchline. And the insight is the punchline. The insight is what was the last thing that happened, and then there was a action. Now, most of the time, often there's no further action, but there was a specific action for here, and you took action, because it would be a shame for the dreamer to say, call him, reach out, do something, and you go, no, it's just a dream, which is what most people do.
Yeah.
So congratulations for that, because this is has resolved something massive for you. Whether it's about the guy as the guy, or whether it's what unblocks your path to it, we shall see. But as far as respecting the advice you've been given by something within you that is wiser than you, this can only be an auspicious sign.
Yeah, it felt very, it's like, how could I not follow the information that I asked for? You just like, don't be a dick.
Right.
You get the answer, crack on and do something about it. This is the whole thing that I do with personal responsibility coaching. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
That's why I'm in a friend's space. So no, it's the idea of me not following that particular advice.
Yeah.
Ludicrous. Now, something happened the day after that. So I reached out and did my bestest, sent a little email and was just like, can you hear the background noise, by the way? I don't think you can. It's just very lightly that the girls are in there. It's distracting. But I thought I'm going to basically go out and I'm going to go out of my way and I'm going to type an email openly. I'm not going to say like anything came up or the emotions or anything. I was very clear. I just sent the email as, I haven't heard from you for ages. Are you okay? It's been such a long time. I didn't make it like,
not like this.
It's like, hi, I haven't spoken to you for 2 years. Can we bring that up now? Like, no. So, I just reached out and I was very clear about it. But the following night, I thought, well, it works. So I got really excited. So I thought, right, I'm going to ask another dream. And then that night, I put down, and I was writing this down. I wasn't just saying it. I was specifically writing it down because I thought there's a bit more action when you do that. So I wrote down underneath what I wrote the night before. And what was the text that I put? I just put, can you please show me what's blocking me from using my voice in the way I want to? And I never, ever had anything this short in my life. It was 10 to 12 when I wrote that. At 22 minutes past 12, I'd woken back up, which I didn't even know I'd gone to sleep. I just thought it must have just been out and up. I woke back up 22 minutes past 12 with a specific, after this very short, succinct dream where I was laid at the foot of my parents' bed, and I was living with them at the moment, but in the dream I was laid at the foot of my parents' bed and I had sleep paralysis and in the dream, but I couldn't get up and I was calling for my mum and I was clicking, right, literally clicking my fingers, and she came walking towards me from the end of the bed. And then it sounds gross. I burped in my dream and I purged in my dream. And I was just like, oh, but there was like a blockage.
Right.
And I knew that there is a blockage to do with my mum, to do with the connection that I have to my mum. And the fact that I was clicking my fingers, there's this immediacy, there's this, I must be relying on her in some way, or there's an expectancy that she's going to solve something for me that I need to solve myself, really, that I probably need to let go of. But the speed then, I was just like, this shit works. It was so quick. It was like 10 to 12. I didn't even know I'm going to sleep. And then I woke up with the answer. So I couldn't wait. And I get goosebumps thinking about, I've just said to you, putting this out to people, because if I can get answers like that so quickly, they're obvious. I wasn't getting lost in the story, but they're obvious that there's something I need to do to participate in my own life to further whatever it is I want to get. And that is the participation, the personal responsibility, the integrity of using the information you get. It's like when you talk now, people talking about COVID and they're like, oh, well, let's blame the government. It's all about vaccine. It's like, how's about, it's your immune system and that you need to boost it? Have you been taking your vitamins? No. Well, let's stop blaming the government for everything. Let's start with our own health, for the stuff that we do know that works for us, that we can actually use. And dreams, I am now a full campaigner of dreams. Like, you've sold it to me. I'm done. I'm like, well, what can I do to get out there? Because they were things that I didn't necessarily know. And now I've solved that communication issue with him. And there's a channel, a light. It doesn't have to be the guy for me. It could be.
It could be. It could easily be, but it's I think what you said with the purging and the unblocking and these things, I think people, there's a couple of dreamers that are watching this would really recognize that it's sometimes it's literal, sometimes it's metaphorical, and sometimes you don't even need to know. Right? It's done for you.
Yeah.
It's almost as if you get patted on the head for just rewarded for asking. It's like, well done, you've noticed me. Here you go. I'll give you your answer. Here you go. The blockage gone.
Yeah.
And it's recognized within Tibetan traditions that anything that you can do in a dream has 9 times the power and the effectiveness of not in a dream.
Okay.
So if you imagine, some people would also say it's 9 times harder, but it doesn't sound like it is for you, which is to be honest, if I was going to, now knowing what I know about stuff, and I know a little bit about a few things, if I was going to choose one skill to have gifted to me, it would be that one.
Okay.
It would be to be able to communicate freely, lucidly, with clarity and understanding and enlightenment within the dream. That's All the rest pales in insignificance to that. And so I encourage you, Nat, somebody's put on congratulations of your level 6 dream skills, Nat.
Thank you,
Because
whoever that is, Tiptoes.
Light love Tiptoe. And they're right, because, you know, can you imagine having had that skill and then going a lifetime without using it, and then the next one, when you're a yak or a rock or something, and you started again because you didn't do the one thing you were meant to do, which was listen.
If I came back as a yak, but yes. People go by and be like, people watching's got really bored.
It's like, you know, that's what they say. It's like, if you're born a donkey, you better get used to and love the taste of grass, right? Because that's all you got. You haven't got a shot at enlightenment, which is what we're so close to. We're really super close. We can practice. We can use the gifts that we have been given. You know, that's denied most living things. We're right at the top of the mountain. We're just, the peak is in sight, which is how come, I think I said this before, there's no concept of self-hate in Tibet. And they don't have words for self, and they certainly don't have concepts of self-hate, because if you've got a nervous system and it's human, you've already won the lottery. It's nearly there, mate. You're like, you know, the snakes and ladders board, you're one away. You know, you're there. It's like, come on. What's to hate about this?
It's so tricky to get us out of our own funk and realize how grateful we truly need to be. Like, how we have it right now is, and I'm not saying this from, you know, the penthouse in London, because I'm sure
it's a good place to be grateful from, though.
But what I have noticed this week, I was super grateful every day. And I was like, you know, I would want a bit of an upgrade. I'm like, yeah, I'd just like to go and do something. I need a bit of work just going to get me out there, and something that's a little bit where I have to be somewhere rather than. And then I got the offer, and it's because I was in alignment and I asked, but I didn't attach myself to it. And this is what we need to learn more than ever. It's our attachment to things that is our biggest problems. And what I do when I do coaching is, and I say this all the time, people are like, oh, I want to change the world, I want to save the world, I want to do this, I want to learn all about chakras. I'm like, how are your email box looking? You know, like the stuff that really, if we actually got all that stuff in our way, we'd be able to do and live the life we want. But we just get lost in the magic, and then we get stuck in the overwhelm of the actual life that we're living. And it's really tricky for people to be able to unattach themselves. And I think that if they can get a bulk of the work done in their dream.
Yeah, you get it all done in your dreams. Yeah, free yourself up.
While you're sleeping.
Yeah.
The rest of your time, the time that you've got in the day, you can do what the hell you want with that.
They dreamers generally, the people who sort of come to my dream yogas and do this stuff, they not only far more fond of the dream than the wakes or the reals.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having two lives. And if you could be given two lives, one is magical, the other one's really vanilla, and you pick the vanilla one, the one with all the physics that stops you doing stuff, and then you've got one that's completely unrestricted by time or space or body or form. You can transform, you can do anything that you can think of, and also anything that you think of if you are spiritual, whether you're spiritual, religious, spiritual, non-religious, spiritual, atheist, doesn't matter. If you have any sense that there's something bigger than you in this universe that you are connected to, it means that you can turn every and any thought into spiritual practice, which is a great liberation, because anything that you can dream is spiritual practice, and you can think anything that you can dream. You can think anything that you dream anything you can think, which suddenly means every thought in your head is spiritual practice. And then suddenly the kinds of thoughts that you have in your head are elevated. And suddenly you don't have that desperate need of spiritual seeking and grasping. You know, that all that, oh, I can't shut my mind up stuff, or I can't get out my head, or I need to be present, or I just want to live in the now. All this stuff that people are saying and describing, thinking they're using words of spiritual worth, are actually doing quite the opposite.
Yeah.
They're showing how they're even looking to turn spiritual practice into something they have to grasp and gather and me and change and fail at also. It's like, okay, let me fail at meditation. It's like, I can fail at sleep now. Great. I can fail at meditation. Great. I can fail at eating. Great. What else you got? Well, I can fail, fail in love. Anything else? It's like, I can have imposter syndrome, so I can fail at being myself. It's like, what else can I collect and fail and give myself a hard time for when there isn't even a self to give a hard time for? It's like, this is so lost in translation, and so...
It is it's the translation, because some of the people that I know that live in the now, they ain't talking about it. They're not having a conversation about it. They're not going, I'm living in the now, or I'm spending the whole day living in the now. The people I know that are super focused, that are doing what I would consider the work, and I'm going to say not within it, but seriously work, that their goal in life is to get to the end of their day. And that they literally want to get to the end of their day, and they'll do whatever they can within that to make sure it's a good day. And they don't, and this is why I don't plan, and I don't do loads of goals and have this future. It causes me anxiety if I don't get there. My mind's like, not there yet. Like, why are you taking so long? And I'm like, I can't win with my ego. And she used to love casting a net and setting a goal and having a vision board and doing all this stuff. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with vision boards, but for me, there's one that I have that I carry with me on my thing. But beyond that, and I built it 4 years ago, and I'm still ticking things off on it. So they do work, but I don't have it on my wall. And every time I walk past it, and I'm like, still not happened yet. Still not, because that's what my ego does. She's like, still not happened yet.
Whereas you could do it in one night in a dream.
I could do it one night in a dream.
Yeah.
That's step 7. It's my name.
Well, it's completely doable. It's completely doable in dreams. It's easy in dreams.
I feel there's a part of because I don't I've done a few apologies in dreams. I've had people apologizing to me. And I've gone through a lot of stuff where accepting, made up a new word, accepting in my dream. And I wake up in the morning and I feel like, oh, do you know what? Even if they don't come and say sorry, or even if I don't, it's cool, because last night I got
we've moved on. Yeah,
because it's done. And I find that that's really quite comprehensive. Really, you can get quite a lot done.
Well, dreams are about movement, right? Waking is about being stuck. But you're in dreams, there's always movement. It's never still, stationary still like a photograph. And how do we know this? Try and meditate in a dream. So once you get lucid and you can control dreams to any degree at all, and you meditate, see how still you can keep that. And you'll see how much movement there really is in dreams. And you'll notice how little movement there is actually in the reals. There's hardly any compared to dreams. Dreams don't stop moving, and you're not. And in the reals, you're moving, and there isn't.
So you're telling me that I can also meditate in my dream?
Well, if you do, it will save you a month in solo retreat for every moment you can do it. Do you know when they teach this in Buddhism, in Tibetan Buddhism, when they teach you dream yoga? Traditionally, they would teach you dream yoga only when you're about to start your 3-year solo retreat. That's how high this spiritual practice is. Because one moment of meditating in your dream, knowing you're dreaming, you're meditating in your dream, there is no higher meditation, because it's mind through mind, through mind, through mind. It cuts through. They call it the diamond path, the thunderbolt. This is the lightning of meditation. You can get enlightened in one dream.
Interesting that you said diamond. So, I can't believe you said that. Right, I went to I had a session with this woman. This was before COVID, a long time ago. And it was past life regression. Nothing came up about past life regression. It all came about my life. But there was a point I didn't think she was that great. Because I didn't really go off anywhere. I was still kind of there, and I was chucking her words just to keep her entertained. So otherwise, this is going to be a really boring hour otherwise. So I was kind of chucking bits to her, but then all of a sudden my mind just flashed, and I looked up, and there was a diamond in the sky. So the sky was blue, but there was a beaming white diamond in the sky. And I was looking, and I'm thinking, she's chuntering away and trying to guide me into something. And she said, she said, I feel you've seen something. And I was just like, there's a diamond in the sky. It's like all of my focus, right, is going to this diamond light. And this bloody woman on the side of me was just like, yeah, move away from the diamond. Don't look at the diamond. Come away from the diamond. Come back to the room. Come back to the room. Here you are. And I'm like, and it went. And I'm like, that could have been my moment. I don't know what it was, but it was so significant. I've never had it since, and I've never seen it since. They didn't even mention it. I think I mentioned it a couple of times just day after, but now you've mentioned diamonds. I'm like, that was so, because I was still here in the room, but then all of a sudden my focus was on the sky in the room, and the diamond was there.
So that's nearly NSD, isn't it? Nat in the sky with diamonds.
The NSD. That's just tripping. Yeah, and this I just, yeah, there's so much in that when I did that. I was
beautiful. Beautiful. That's the thing. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for clear light. This is called the teaching of clear light. And the diamond is the ultimate metaphor, because what we're looking for is the truth of the clear light, which is not any facet of the diamond. So you turn the diamond and you get different views.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but none of the views are the clear light. Right. They are the reflection in the diamond of the light, but they are not the light. And so this is the idea of seeing through the diamond, cutting through the diamond, cutting it out, because it's not that it's lost in anybody. It's there in everybody. It's simply kind of a diamond covered in super glue and then rolled around in the dirt. And that's the problem. And to the point, it's so disgusting to most people that they don't even know there's a diamond underneath. So it's like even covered with nail varnish over the top of the dirt. It's like it keeps on going, and it's like another layer of stuff that takes us further away from what we really are, which is this diamond. You know, we come from a pure, clear, dazzling, beautiful light, a moment. And from there, we do our damnedest to ignore that and to add. And this is a subtractive process. It's like you can look out, but you'll never find it, because you cannot find something that was never lost in the first place. You can't seek something that you already have, or something that you already are. And I completely agree with you, Matt. Just sorry, one last thing about goals, because the thing is, as soon as you have a goal, you have a problem. Yeah. The problem is that you don't have your goal. Right? It's like, well done, everybody. Thank you for sorting out a problem for, or creating a problem for me where I had none. An imaginary problem has now been created and has now got more imaginary power than the one that I had when I didn't have a goal. It's nuts.
Oh, we are nuts to a large extent. But just what you were saying, I was chatting to a friend of mine, Hass, last night. And Hass, if you're watching, hello, I love you. We always have really good, my bestest friend of all time. We have the best conversations. And I was explaining, we were talking about 5D, and he said, Matt, what do you think of 5D? And I was like, my understanding of 5D is that it's 5 depths inwards. It's not an external dimension. It's not somewhere we go to. It's the 5th direction is what 5D stands for me. It's taking that path inwards. And it's going deeper and deeper and deeper. And the only way I know how to do that, and it's not about letting stuff go. That can be quite a negative term for a lot of us. It's about surrendering to what is in that moment. And for me, the way I look at the 5D and the depths, I've only got to where and I'm not saying I'm enlightened being at all. I'm just saying I've only got to my own level of awareness, which I am comfortable with, which I'm not seeking like I used to be. But I've only got to this level of awareness by giving stuff up. I gave up drugs. I gave up alcohol. I gave up sex for years. You know, I was still not drunk and still not doing the chemical drugs. I gave up social media. I gave up with the drama. I gave up with the need for attention. And so when you let go of the attention of the need of all of these things, that's where I was, behind all of that stuff and in the space of all of that stuff. And it was really tricky for me to be able to do it on my own. But now it's like the whole world's taken away everything. We are here now dealing with nothing, but it's the best kind of nothing you could possibly have.
You know, I hear that so clearly. That's very, you know, really, really interesting, that thing. It's so when I heard that in dream practice, we would think of that as the hungry ghost realm, which is this thirst. You know, everybody's thirsty for the attention, the thirst of it. And in a hungry ghost realm, it's represented by these figures that have these tiny mouths that are so small and these big bellies that you can't actually get any food in. And they live in lands where they haven't even spoken about water for 100 years. It's like this, and any water there is just pure salt. It's like this is the hunger of there's only one realm below that, which is the hell being realm of angry beings. But above that is the hungry ghosts. And to me, that is social media. That is where we are, is this hunger that could never possibly be satiated, because there's never enough. There is not enough. And nobody's had enough. And until you've had enough, then you suddenly realize that enough is enough.
Exactly. And it's so important that the concept of enough is something that I've been looking, and this is why spirituality crosses over with finance really well. And people go, what do you mean about that? And I'm going to explain. Is the fact that at the moment we have this concept where we're looking outside and we're blaming whatever it is going on, and we're saying, well, this is happening, we've got all these problems. And we have, the way I look at it is that, yes, we have a million problems in the world, and people think they're all related to finance, but we have all of these emotions that are attached to finance that either block it from us, or we're always wanting something more, or we want something that costs more than what we have. And we've got this huge attachment to finance, but we don't spiritually integrate it, and we don't take it in. And the thing is because most people don't know what enough is. And the concept of a very good investor, if you move it into investment realms, if you know what your enough is, that's your, my coach keeps talking about, that's your sleep number, which means that you can sleep at night with that. If you put a trade on, if you're buying in for 10 grand into Bitcoin, can you afford to sleep that night? Can you sleep if you do that? Because if it goes down to 2 grand, will you sleep the following night? If you can, that's enough. But if you don't know your concept of enough, you're always in this space of resistance. You're always in this space where you can't get what it is you want, regardless of where you're looking, because you don't know you're enough. And it comes to finance, it comes to spirituality. I feel like I've peaked, not in spirituality, but I feel like I've peaked on my seeking. I'm now literally ready to watch whatever unfolds. I'm not looking for anything anymore. I'm not going. I've had enough of spirituality, of the trying to manifest. Now I'm just like, I'm just going to with what shows up, and it's so much easier to do that than it is to manifest.
It is. I hear that clearly now, and I kind of, what's happened in the last year has had many people questioning what it was that they had pinned their hopes, their faiths, their beliefs on, in terms of who was doing the right thing for whom, how. Now, would the world be better placed to save each other if it was poorer? Now, probably not. It's probably been really handy that we could accelerate science by several orders of magnitude in order to save the world. And it was something that saved the world. It hasn't been really acknowledged as such, But this was completely existential. Left with untreated, this would have been as big a deal as, at least as big a deal as any of the plagues that we've had before. It may have been the one. I have a suspicion it would have been, because we have had such susceptibility and vulnerability that we didn't have before. I could tell a dream story about that, but I'm not going to actually at the minute. What I would say, though, is that some of the behavior that one would have thought was about the highest good for all concerned turned out to be not that at all. It turned out to be very me when it came to it. And when this is put back together, however it is in a post-COVID world, which is not the same world we've left, this is without doubt, this is a world that is changed forever. This is a new dream we're in, a new dream. This new dream, there were going to be certain things that don't come back. And a lot of the spiritual stuff that was found, that a lot of people pinned a lot to, and then was found incredibly wanting and incredibly short of advice and things to do. And some of the most spiritual people found being in the hardest, which was like, hang on a minute, what were you practicing all this time? How come you can't sit with yourself?
Yeah.
What? How come you're banging on about connection and community? I thought we were doing this to see through the illusion. And you're moaning about this. Isn't this what you were fantasizing about? A year of meditation? I didn't see anybody thanking that. It's like, yeah, but this is didn't you want an indoor retreat? Yeah. It's like, here you go, sit in your garden for a year. You can be off grid now. It's all of the stuff that a lot of people are asking for and campaigning for and saying we're being done by this stuff. Well, actually, you know what? It turned out to not be the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we called this on, like, in so many ways, this scenario. And I'm not saying, the deaths that have happened, everything that is gone down over the last, year and a half, whatever it is now, almost a year, sorry. I'm not taking away any of the pain, but I am going to say that what we have experienced is one of the most magnificent opportunities to see our own bullshit that there ever was.
Huh.
And it just, the level of truth that is now bringing itself to the surface. And I said this all the time, it's like the Aladdin's carpet. We've swept our stuff under the carpet all the time, and it's the Aladdin's carpet. It's got a life of its own, and it's done one. And it's going, here's all the stuff you need to work on. That opportunity to do that and to clear our path and to clear our way is now presented to us. And we have to take that and we have to embrace that with integrity. We have to go, right, we wanted the truth. Oh, it's my truth I've got to go through first? Okay, cool. Because we're expecting it's going to be the government. This is what I say, it's totally about your own inbox. It's about your own stuff. Looking at that and dealing with that and facing it and being willing. And the thing that really just made me go, oh, wow, over this whole time is all the spiritual people that I know and that I have in my field, the amount of anger and hate these people have.
Hasn't it been amazing?
So like Trump and other people that they've never met, and people say, oh, why do you not like Trump? Oh, you must like Trump. I'm like, I've never met him. I don't not like him. I don't like him. I don't know him. I can't make a judgment. No, but he's done this. And I'm like, how can you have that much hate if all you want to see is love and light?
It's a bit of a tell, isn't it, at the end of the email? Powerful. Love and light. It's like, you really?
And love and light goes around the planet, apart from when you're talking about Trump. And I'm not saying we need to praise the guy, but I'm just saying, what would love do? Would love really hate someone? Would love really have the anger that you have for the individuals? No.
I think it's is it the Franciscan monks or the of St. Bernard's the nuns of Sisterhood of St. Bernard, who say that you have to give compassion most to the people who deserve it least.
Because that's what they need. That's what they're missing.
That's what they feel of.
And you need to give what they don't have in order to serve.
Yeah. The most evil people are the ones who deserve the compassion the most.
Yeah.
If you're going to play the compassion game, if you're going to play it seriously. I mean, in Buddhism, there's practice called Tonglen where you breathe in the troubles of the world as black, and then you kind of recycle it and breathe it out as clear. So you use yourself as a kind of purification. You're taking in the hurt, the pain, the anger, the discrimination, all of the bad stuff. You breathe it in, and then you purify it, and you breathe it out clear. And it's, if you only had one spiritual practice, you know, that one is a champion one. It may not be easy, because what are you doing? The first thing you're doing is putting the world first, aren't you?
Yes, that's your service. There's no higher version of that.
You're going, I'm giving here, I'm purifying.
There's a lot of people. Have I ever discussed with you the 4 stages of what I've made up 4 stages of spirituality? Did I ever share that?
No, I don't. No, but I'd love to hear it. I might even write it down. You know, you're normally writing down. I might write this down.
So basically, you've got level 1, and I'm saying levels not because of arrogance or ego.
No. You go. You go with your levels. Level
1. Okay, we're asleep. Done. Eyes closed. We're still watching Love Island at level 1. Yeah. We do. Right. This is it. This is who we are. Level 2. Somehow we wake up, whether it's mushrooms, ayahuasca, or a dawn of light that's coming through the morning, and we're like, shit, the world's not as I thought it was. This is level 2. Level 2 is where you start to realize things aren't as what you thought they were. There is conspiracies in level 2. There is every rabbit hole you could possibly imagine. There is magic. There is quantum physics. There's everything that goes to do with sacred geometry. You are learning and soaking up the world like you have never learned before. And then there's level 3. Level 3 is where you are realizing, and level 3 usually comes from your second awakening. And what I mean by that is, one waking is like, oh my God, the world's not as I thought it was. Then you get this kind of spiritual arrogance where you think you know stuff. And then you wake up a second time. And when you wake up the second time, it's the hardest time you wake up. It's like a bitch slap. The universe takes something away, destroys something, but then you have to apply all of the fun stuff you've been learning in level 2 to level 3, and you have to apply that, and you have to work through that, and it's the alchemy stage.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've done that, level 4 comes, and level 4 is actually the same level as level 1, because level 4 requires you to get everything you've already learned with the compassion that you've got, and come back down and start again and be compassionate to those still on level 1. And that's, for me, the 4 stages of spiritual enlightenment. Is this circle. It's like a toroidal field, but
yeah, I see that. I see what you're drawing. Yeah. And
for me, it just makes it's a circle when it comes back round, but I don't know any other way to explain it. And that's everybody I know. I can not out of arrogance, rather, level 1, level 2, level 3, yeah, totally, level 4. And I can get, not everybody's always on those stages, but there's stages within the day where you can be like, oh my God, I'm on level 1. Like, how did I not know that? Yeah. Or then you'd be like, oh, I'm stuck in conspiracies. I've spent 24 hours this week on YouTube. Shit, I'm in level 2. Level 2. Got some work to do in level 3, and then I need to go and serve. I need to go back out, and I need to be of service to those that need it most by the wisdom I've already learned at level 2 and level 3. Because that's all we're doing. Turning the bathroom light on for everybody else to see their shit. That's what we're doing. We're just checking if it works.
Yeah, it's lovely. It's a quite an accurate rendition of many spiritual traditions, of this idea of if you do get anywhere, your job is not to keep going. Your job is to come back down and tell the others what you found. That's what you have to do. You have to tell the others if you find something.
Yeah.
You don't keep on, because then it becomes an egoic quest. I don't really use ego, but it becomes a deluded grasping of progress if you do not come back and say, but I do like your level bitch slap. I do think that is really, really, really great level.
We all wake up twice, and this is when you get new spirituality people, and I feel for them, because I feel to myself, you haven't woken up your second time yet, and I know it's coming. And then a couple of years later, you'll see them be like, "Oh my God, dark night of the soul." Level 2 that you're on now. You're in this world that now you've got to integrate that dark night into level 3, and you decide to
we can cut through all of that, and it's so hard to accept. It's so hard to accept that this is a dream, and how can we say that this is a dream? This is easily said that this is a dream. There is no difference between the mind stuff that makes the dream and the mind stuff that makes the voices in your head and the pictures that you see that are not there. And if you were to draw the contents of your thoughts one at a time, it would look just like a dream. It's just unnoticed. So even when we're awake, we're dreaming. In that sense, it is all a dream. And what skills would you need for the day then? Well, you would need skills to do what happens in dreams. In order to deal with the waking dream that we're in, the unnoticed waking dream that we experience in our heads, even when we're doing a spreadsheet, even when we're doing the most dull thing, whatever's happening, the most mundane, vanilla thing going, there is still special reality happening in your head. There is still dream constantly happening. So if you haven't learnt dream skills, you haven't learnt waking skills.
Yeah, I'm bound student again. I'm back to number 1. I need more dream skills.
Well, the dream skills. So let me just quickly tell you what dream skills, the 4 dream skills one needs, because it's really simple. So this is the first thing that one is to achieve or to get stability in is peace of mind. Peace of mind as a baseline. And that's more than anything what you need. I say this all the time. It's like even the most villainous villains I've met still would like peace of mind.
Yeah.
Everybody would like it. It never goes out of fashion. It's like, can you just please give me peace of mind? And it's easily done. It's really easily done. You can drop into peace of mind in a second by just simply imagining a line that goes from ear to ear in your head that is a clear white light or something like that. Just goes from ear to ear, horizontal. And when you do that, you can instantly have peace of mind. You can have it eyes closed. You can have it eyes open as soon as you recollect yourself. Recollect that that's where peace of mind is. And I don't know if you experienced it now when you just did that, but the rest of the head goes empty.
Yeah, it's like a little vacuum.
Yeah. And so that's how you get peace of mind. You practice that by recollecting your thoughts. And you recollect your peace of mind as a baseline. So that we practice for the first 2 hours of going to bed. You have to do that, and then you do between hours 3 and 4. Your job is to accomplish joy, which is nice. Can you practice joy for 2 hours between hours 3 and 4? Because you're going to need it. You're going to need to know that first off, you have peace of mind, and translate this to your final thought of your life, that moment. Nat. So you've got peace of mind at the end. Beautiful. You've got joy at the end. Well done, everybody. You've got strength over getting lost, which is a kind of a GPS of knowing who you are and who you're not, knowing that you don't get, it's a sat nav. It really is. It's like, so you don't get lost in thought, lost in dreams, lost in the past, lost in the fantasy, lost in the illusion. You can see through it and know who you are, how you are, and where you are. And you're going to need that, the last thought. And the fourth one that we do in the last 2 hours of sleep, between 7 and 8 hours. So hour 7, hour 8 of an 8-hour night, you would practice triumph over mind-made fears. And that's kind of your wrathful aspect. That's where you slay. I mean, kind of literally, you vanquish, you're victorious, you're valiant. You slay demons. You make bad big things tiny underfoot, and you tower above them triumphantly. Because at the end, your mind is gonna play tricks on you. You need to be able to triumph over mind-made fears, because mind-made fears will nearly kill you. It's worse than killing you. They'll keep you alive in fear, which is worse than killing you. Mind-made fears are hell. And one needs,
Sorry, I was going to say something. It's like that in Hunger Games, where they've got that simulation where they go and they see their fears in their, like they're asleep, and that's they're there to fight themselves in there.
I don't know, but that would be a good analogy if that is the case. So how do we do this to remember those things? How can we recollect it? Well, we recollect it because we abbreviate it as a mnemonic of PAST. Peace, accomplishment of joy, strength over getting lost, triumph over mind-made fears. So we get this PAST, this past, to get over the past. Right? We are past the past because we use peace, accomplishment of joy, strength, and triumph. Now, to me, this is such a beautiful system, and it came to me in a dream to abbreviate it like this, to tell the others. It came to me, what my dream teaching tell me to tell the others. It's like, how much can I simplify this for people? How much of the mystique can I take away? How small and easy can I make the point of dream yoga, which is a high spiritual practice? I can make it as small as 4 little letters. Right? I can take it, redux for the attention span of anybody around now. You know, you can hang a whole 1,000, 2,000 years, 17,000 years spiritual tradition in 4 little letters, PAST. We abbreviate that as and symbolize it with pepper and salt to taste. Do you remember?
Yes.
PAST. So in our drawings, we do these stick figure drawings of our dreamers, and our dreamers have pepper and salt in our hands, our fingertips, so we can always season life experience to our taste. Because we season our dreams, we season our wakes, we season it all because you don't want anyone else seasoning your food. It's appalling. Yeah. But it means that you can make anything tasty, particularly because my pepper is green Tabasco, which makes anything taste good. And my salt is pink Himalayan salt, which is fine. Yeah. So, you know, it doesn't have to be, it can be every day, but it can also be, you know, delightful and delicious and a delicacy.
I love that.
So that's how kind of what we do. And this is what guides us. This gives us a map of the night. Can you imagine? I mean, I've been thinking about that thing so much. You said last time when I saw you with Stephen, and you were saying the buzz of the numbers on the alarm clock, which makes me laugh and laugh and laugh. It's 22 minutes past 2. It's the real 333. It's like, oh, it's a sign. And I was just thinking how many there are. There's loads of them, isn't there? Loads of them.
They come to me all the time, and that for me is like, even if my day's pants and I see 1414 or 1515,
yeah.
Like, oh, there's a you know, there's this kind of thing. Attach myself to those numbers, and you know, numbers are powerful. Numbers are living things, apparently, according to the best mathematicians out there. These numbers are alive and they're communicating. Yeah. So for me to ignore them and be like, I have to turn him off now because Stephen says like, I'm like, no. So Stephen, if you're watching, like,
sorry, mate.
The alarm clock's staying. The phone's gone, but the alarm clock's not staying. Yeah. But I love what you're talking about, Ben, and it having done that exercise myself, yeah, and seeing the growth from, you know, on my understanding, and it really, whatever that dream's meant to mean, I'm seeing that guy on Saturday morning. That'll be a lovely connection that I haven't seen in 2 years. Yeah. Just to mend that at the very least.
To mend. Oh, yeah. Can I tell you? May I? No, sorry. Just can I give you something that might be useful if anybody is watching this? So, if you hadn't been you, and you'd been more like most people, what you would have done would have been nothing. And that's what people tell me about their nightmares. They go, oh, I've had this nightmare. What do I do? And I say, well, this is what you do. This is what you're meant to do. For one, you're meant to wrap your loving arms around the nightmare and go, oh, lovely. You're meant to do it. But more than that, what you do is you go, okay, in the reels, in the wakes, you go, what happened? What would I have liked to have happen? Recast the dream. And that heals whatever it was that needed healing. It's a request to pay attention. Don't be distracted by the fear of the nightmare. Correct it. You can correct it in the wakes as well as the dreams. You re-script it. How would you have liked to have that play out? That will literally change your karmic traces. So your brain will start to make different predictions about the world it lives in. And so you've changed your past by re-scripting a dream. That's what you're being asked to do. So this is how come in dream yoga, and some of the people who are watching this know this, it's a blessing to have a nightmare. It's like after you've done practice for a while, you don't get any because you've done it all. And you go, great, a nightmare. I can do something with this. My life is going to improve as a result of the nightmare. It's like I say to people when I've done some work with them, I say, you may have a nightmare tonight. And if you do, great, brilliant. But don't be cross with me if you don't. Don't blame me if you don't, you know, because that's such a brilliant thing of something's happening here. Don't miss it.
Yeah.
This is a call. This is your bitch slap. This is that. It's like you're going to, you know, don't just sit there, integrate it, re-script it, re-edit it, do whatever you need to do. How would you have liked it to go? And you feel it. You feel it, a somatic sensation of having moved on.
So we embody, so if the negativity is there from the nightmare, we can embody that, we can change that, we can heal it, we can work with it, we can use it as a guidepost. But I'm gonna say but. Usually whatever you say before but is bullshit.
Yeah, it doesn't count. That means no, right?
So I'm gonna say however. Right,
yeah, however.
We don't do anything. When we wake up, we don't do anything because we're scared of what the other person may think if we took our dream or a scenario or the rejection that we feel we might get, whatever it is. But every time I've gone and had a dream of some kind and I've reached out, even if I've been blanked, which I'll be honest, has happened quite a few times, and if you're a person that's blanked me, you know what I'm talking about. I have been a dream and I've reached out when I've dreamt and I've said, hey, how are you? I'm here. Do you want to chat? Blanked. But you know how good I feel? Because I did what I could in the moment and I have no regrets. So even if you get the rejection or you're like, oh, I'm not really sure I can do this, you're not doing it for the other person. Doing it for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. That's all we're ever doing. We're only ever doing it. How could it be for anybody else? It can only be for ourselves. So this is the thing is that you can take action, but bear in mind, you know, to change the karma, to change the action, one doesn't even have to involve anybody else. I just want to be clear about this. You can just sit there and go, shit, that was awful. What would I have liked to have happened? And on your own, and recast the dream on your own. You can shut your eyes, you can imagine it, you can stare at the wall, you can sit on a loo, you can put it right. And it changes your nervous system's predictions of what happens in these situations in the future and breaks the cycle of the broken wheel of how come I always fall for the same person? How come I'm still making that same mistake? How come I thought I worked on that? I've been working on that for years. How come it's still happening? Because you haven't done the right thing. The right thing is you dream it and you put it right in your imagination. You imagine it right, and then your imagination starts to do the right thing instead of the wrong thing. And it breaks the pattern and the cycle, and it's super easy. And that nobody talks about it to me, even in dream world. You know, they'll say, they'll waste their time and go, what does this dream symbol mean? What does this? You've missed it. Who cares? There was a punchline, there was a meaning, there was a whole letter to yourself, and you want to look up what a dragon means. You know, it's like, what are you lot talking about? You've just missed it.
I'm literally next to my bed. I've got a book with me. It's a dream dictionary. So yeah, the symbols and stuff. It literally, I'll wake up and I'm like, ooh, let's go now. I'm gonna get rid of that.
Well, has it helped?
You know what? On occasion, actually, I am really surprised on how many times images in my dream actually mean something in my waking life. And this is what I think. This is my personal understanding, right? And I'll be short because I know we're running out of time. But if you dream something, right, and it's, say, imagine, right, there's a pen here, yeah? And this pen's significant for some reason, it's in my day. But in my dream, if I see a pen, it's like my dream has pulled the latest thing that I could possibly use that I'll remember from my day, and it'll put it in my dream for me to use as a symbol. I don't think it's because I've seen the pen that day. I think it's because there's a significance in that object that I can find. And when I use it like that, or I look at it like that, and I go and look what that dream means, it always makes sense.
Okay.
Like, I don't think my mind's pulling at stuff. I think it's telling me.
So there's a difference here. There's a difference here between what is there that should not be there. That's significant in a dream. Yeah? The detail, rather than the story, rather than the embellishment. The story you can forget. Detail of something that wouldn't be there and is, it can be very significant. You're quite right about that. What I'm saying is that, using the dragon example, Charlie Morley uses this. He says a dragon to a Welsh person and a dragon to a Chinese person. If they look in the same book, then we're in trouble. You know, it's like who's calling the symbols here? It's like, you know, the symbols can mean very different things. You only, you know, in German, the sexes of the sun and the moon are reversed.
Why?
So you would say that, or in Tibetan tradition, sometimes the channels of feminine and masculine are reversed, and sometimes the colors are reversed. And you ask people about this, and it's like, surely there would be a standard here, wouldn't there?
There's a standard for it, yeah.
You know, it's like, wouldn't it be the same everywhere? How could it be the opposite? I mean, it's a bit like pink used to be the color for boys until the 1900s because it was a strong color, and blue was the color for girls. It's like that would seem nuts to us. Right? You would seem that was a universal truth about that. But that's a fashion and a cultural interpretation where meaning has been added. And really, you know, one has to go, what is there meaning before somebody goes looking for it?
Yeah, that's a whole other.
You know, where is this meaning? And the killer question here is, what do you make it mean?
Yeah.
And that's the killer question, because it implies within it that you've made it mean that. It doesn't mean it. You've done it. What do you make it mean?
That's a whole other show.
Yeah, but you're stopping doing the shows, and you know.
I'm doing them every Tuesday.
Okay. All right.
You're my first Tuesday, my lonesome Tuesdays. So you should take heart from that. I chose you first.
Oh, are you kidding me? This was the new lot. I thought I was part of the old lot.
No, this is the new one, and I chose you first. This is my every Tuesday night. I'm doing a talk with show, and it's going to be something. It's either going to be around spirituality, sound, sex, or money.
You put me in the right category. There was one other one you could have picked me in, and it wasn't the sex. Let me just be clear about that.
I've got some very interesting subjects going up on that matter, actually. But no, I put you in for the spirituality section, and I just thought this is my first. And it's, even though next week is slightly, it's not off topic, but next Tuesday I have the M word. We've started, it's once a month, the M word, and it's basically the mushroom world. If anybody's watching and you want to learn about mushrooms, for the next 12 months, every month I've got a psychedelic Tuesday on the second.
Are you doing mushrooms?
So me personally, no, right now, but I've worked a lot with them in the past. I've worked a lot with microdosing. I used to grow them myself.
Okay. And so this is we're talking psychedelics next Tuesday.
Psychedelics next Tuesday, but we've got loads of different speakers from all around the world who have got their own psychedelic companies or companies.
Hot topic.
Huge topic, and yeah, they've got either brands of some kind or they're doing research in some area. So we have a set show every month with a girl called Zoe who has their own mushroom brand.
You know, it's a big investment right now. You know, are you in on this?
Not yet. This is the area that I'm just about to start my, because I've got Forex. I was going to do the Forex trading, and I'm just like, oh, I just want to learn a little bit more about Forex just so I can understand more when I'm doing this. But yes,
it's one of those gold mine lands because of the deregulation that's coming up so fast because of its impact on mental health, and how significant this is. This, you know, people are aligning their ducks in a investing row, but you know, that's another thing. I mean, you've got a lot on there.
I know. Well, I have. I've made it more about money and kind of workshops lately, and not in a negative sense, but in the sense of money is the most super important thing, because if you can unattach to what money means and you can come into alignment with it.
I tell you what, when you've got fuck your money, that's really nice.
Yeah. Well, I'm in an apartment. I'm in a penthouse in London, so it's like
right now, this is you're living your mood board, right?
Living my, do you know what? I'm living my mood board. This is a very nice office. I've just gone on my mood board, but yes, it's very, very high class. So on that note, thank you
lovely
so much. I love talking to you, going down that
fun. A lot of fun. Thank you so much.
I don't know, we haven't got you booked in for another one yet, but that's going to be. So I'm going to, and I've got new assistant starting as well, so she's going to be able to. So. And I've got no idea. So if anybody wants to reach out and speak to you beyond this, tell us where we can find you.
Okay, where can you find me? Or you can find me at the Charlotte.com.
I'll beat you to it. I actually put it in the description already. I just forgot done it. I've done that. So underneath is your website. It's not your website, it's your link to Charlotte. Thank you so much for your time. Don't go anywhere. Everybody else at home, thank you so much for supporting the show. If you really enjoyed this, make some comments, reach out to us, let us know your thoughts. That would be really useful. Next Tuesday, or tomorrow, I am being Wednesday, the 3rd of March, I am on Insight Timer doing my workshop on boundaries. And then next Tuesday, we have the first M Word, which is a monthly show. Every Tuesday, I'll be here on my YouTube and on I Am Sound talking about sound, sex, money, and spirituality. The fun things in life. And I have no idea how I'm going to be able to close this thing down. I'm just trying to end the broadcast, but I've never used a pen on a Mac before. But apparently, if I end the broadcast now, if I just click this, we could still be here or we could still go. So I'm going to say goodbye. I think this is and
see you, maybe